Welcome to That's Church. My sister Emmy and I are on a mission to open our hearts and minds by attending different churches here in Utah. We're talking to the beautiful people that make their church a community.
The Islamic religion has been a pleasant surprise for us, and we are here with Maysa Kergaye to share a piece of the beauty that we've discovered with our listeners. Maysa, we are so grateful for your time. We're so grateful to have you on here. We're huge fans. We actually, she is on a YouTube, she did a YouTube interview with another entity, and we watched that, and we've talked with her a little bit at the Islamic Center, and she is an amazing person. So we're really excited about this. So tell me, first of all, sister. So when we first were referred to, you were referred to us, there was a little SR in front of your name, and I had to Google it. It's like, what is SR? Oh, sister. So do you go by sister in your religion? Is that a common thing?
I think it's just a term of respect that whoever was calling me must have been younger than me. So,
okay.
Instead of saying miss or madam, they like to say sister,
Okay.
but not like a nun or anything. So some cultures would say auntie. Some will say auntie in Arabic, amma or khala. So just a term of respect. I've trained my kids never to call people by their first names. So since they were little, all our neighbors were uncle, aunt, or grandma or grandpa in Arabic in front of their names. And so many years later, they're like, is he your brother or dad's brother? And I'm like, no, neither, sweetheart. It's just respect.
So, I think they have a lot of uncles.
Yeah. Lots of uncles who live in the neighborhood.
Oh, wow. That's cute.
That's so funny.
So fun.
Yeah.
We do the same thing, actually. We use brother and sister in our church quite often as well. So we're familiar with that. Okay, so could you share just a little bit about your journey with us, and particularly what brought you to Utah? Where were you living previously?
I've had the pleasure to live in many different countries, which I think allowed me to become an extrovert, trying to make friends all over every time you move. So my preschool was in Syria, kindergarten was in Dubai, 1st through 6th grade was in Jordan, 7th and 8th grade, Cyprus, the island, and then 9th through 12th grade, California. And then college was 5 states, 5 years. So we did California, Virginia, sorry, not 5 states, 3 states, 5 colleges, 2 colleges in California, 2 in Virginia, and finally graduated from the U in Utah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, that is a lot of places.
Amazing.
That's incredible.
Ended up taking many classes I didn't need, but it made me a better, stronger person, I think, in the long run.
I'm sure you're very well-rounded from all of that, especially in such different cultures and different countries. And that's amazing.
Yeah, I had to learn many languages. So in Jordan, we started learning French, English, and Arabic from kindergarten. Then when I moved to Cyprus, there they taught in Greek, French, and English. Then moved to California, well, we added Spanish. So California, you have to learn Spanish in high school. And so 5 languages, but I wouldn't say I'm fluent in all 5 anymore.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that is still quite impressive.
That is incredible.
You know more languages than anyone I know, so that is amazing.
It's handy if you travel, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's amazing.
Wow.
I don't think I could learn any language.
That should be my superpower.
Yeah.
Just to know all of the languages. How amazing would that be? But without the work of actually learning. Yeah.
That would be cool. So it sounds like you came to Utah for school to study at the U, or
I got married halfway through my college career. So met my husband while he was visiting in California, but he's born and raised in Utah. So the first chance he had to move back to Utah from DC, he took it. And so we've been here. Well, I've been here now 31 years in Utah.
Oh, wow. And you've still lived so many places and been here quite a while. That's amazing. Really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so involved in the community. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, luckily I'm an extrovert, so I like to get involved. And very early on, I asked my neighbors, how can I get to be part of the church activities? And they're like, you want to be part of it? I'm like, yes. So they got me into Relief Society and get on the email. And then we started doing cooking classes and sometimes exercise classes, and just helping in the community. Then you start getting involved with your kids and kids programs at schools and PTAs. And then somehow I got involved with interfaith work, and we opened the Speakers Bureau back in 2000, weeks before September 11. And then we got really, really busy going into schools and giving presentations and trying to clear stereotypes and misunderstandings.
Wow. And you still do that to this day, right? You speak in schools and wards and things like that.
Yes, it's been very wonderful. I don't advertise it as heavily as I used to. Okay. We used to have 20 speakers. Now we have maybe 3. So I just figure just repeat customers we've been taking. But if somebody wants to, of course, invite us, we're still happy to take as many opportunities to talk as needed.
And who's we? Is it you and the imam, or?
No, we have a few people who were trained with me 20 years ago. We trained a lot of people, but many of them have either moved or passed away or got too many kids or
hard to get away.
So we're down to 3 people now.
Yeah, I'm sure that was so needed after September 11th, because there were some unfair stereotypes that went around. So that is really incredible that you guys did that. And that was part of why we were so excited to have you on here, because we just admire all of your volunteerism and everything that you've accomplished.
It's been a wonderful journey. I did get a chance to volunteer in other capacities. I was on the board of the Crossroads Urban Center, and then a few years as a chaplain volunteer at University of Utah Hospital, and then 10 years at the prison. Just started out as teaching Zumba in the prison, and then found out they also needed Islamic education. So we switched to that in the end for the last 10 years.
Wow. What was that like? Give us just a little glimpse of what that was like in the prison.
It's all about breaking stereotypes. And people go, you go to the prison? Are they scary? Are they this? Are they that? And I say, they're just people who made the mistake and sadly have to pay time for it, because some are mothers, grandmothers, daughters, and they really, I feel bad. I don't think we should have a prison system, honestly. It doesn't really fix the problem, and it just punishes their loved ones, limited experience.
Yeah.
I feel like I've helped, and I've kept in touch with some who have come out and fixed their life and got their career, got married, had children. So it's nice to see the success stories, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you definitely have a beautiful soul. And I feel similarly with prisons. I feel like there are other ways that maybe people could be really rehabilitated rather than holding them in a cell. And for me, I think I would just go crazy rather than becoming a better person, and maybe there are opportunities I'm not aware of within the prison system, but I think there's so much more that could be done. So that's interesting hearing that from somebody that's a little bit more involved in that. So.
Yes, I was looking up this book while you guys were talking, because this book I read a few years ago and it had such a huge impact on me, but it's called Dead Man Walking. And it's about a nun who goes into the prison system or who visits men and women on death row. And it's a story that she has with a particular inmate, and it's so eye-opening. And I think you're absolutely right, Maysa, that we have to give grace to those. Even those who have committed horrendous acts still deserve second chances, and they still deserve grace.
God forgives, so we need to as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
This just reminded me quickly of a story. A couple years ago, I was a part of my family and I were at a fireworks show. and we saw a shooting, and it was a kid, 19-year-old kid, that shot a gun in the air. And we were witnesses, and we had to actually go back. We were on vacation, and we had to go back and testify in Idaho. And they were trying to charge him for life in prison. And it just broke my heart. This 19-year-old boy that was just starting his life, that even the thought of him being in prison for the rest of his life because he made one split decision and fired a gun in the air. And he could have hit somebody, he didn't. And he actually ended up, some cops ran after him and shot his legs, and they ended up shooting his legs 10 times, and he lost both of his legs. So I felt like he already is condemned to a wheelchair. Why do we need to punish him anymore? I have a lot of sympathy for people that make mistakes, because I'm one of them. I make mistakes, and it could be any one of us. So
such a sad story.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
He didn't go, sorry, I should end with, he did not go to jail for life. We testified on his behalf, and he was sentenced to 5 years, which we felt like was very fair, and it ended up being reasonable. So
we were all really happy about that. Yeah. Crazy story. So getting right back into it. So you and other women in your religion wear hijabs, and I noticed in your Zumba episodes that you had filmed that you had a hijab on during your workout as well. So we were just curious how those work. Like, is it a personal choice for each woman as an individual? How do haircuts work? We're pretty ignorant on this topic, as you can tell. So we're here to learn.
Yes, in Islam, women or girls, once they hit puberty, are required to start covering their whole body except face, hands, and feet. And it should be loose-fitting and not see-through. But that's up to the person to choose to do it when they hit puberty. I chose quite a few years after puberty. My mother was well in her 40s when she chose to start. So it is a personal choice. It is required, but it's a personal choice. I mean, you shouldn't be forced to do it. You have to choose to do it. And it's in front of any men outside your immediate family. So I don't have to cover in front of women or children or my father or my uncle, my brother, or my grandfather, my nephew, my son, my husband, my father-in-law. But any other men, if they come to my home or when I'm in public, then yes, I would cover going on. So in the gym, even if it's my classes are usually 100% women, but once in a while, a guy might pop in the room or take a look or look for something. So we don't like to take the chance to not be with our scarf on.
And when you say it's required, so it's required, in the scriptures, it tells us that we're supposed to wear it. Okay, so required by God, basically. And one of the girls said during the Meet the Muslims event that I went to, she said it's a way to feel like you are closer to God and a way to obey God, but it is a personal choice. Do you kind of subscribe to that thinking as well?
I mean, it's a constant reminder to be on your best behavior. I find it sometimes it can be challenging to bite your tongue and not do anything wrong because it's going to reflect badly on your faith. So you drive better, you treat people better. So it is a constant reminder, and it's a reminder to people around me too, because I found my friends in college would censor their speech around me. They didn't want to use bad language because they felt inappropriate. So it does affect people around you too, and improving their behavior as well.
Interesting.
It is a constant reminder of your faith.
Yeah. And what about like swimming? How does that work?
So you could either reserve a pool and do it privately. Then you don't have to cover your hair or fully covered. Locally now, one rec center actually has been doing women-only swimming. It's at Sorensen Unity on 13th South and 9th West. Every Saturday from 10 to 12. They've done it for women only. to give
Wow.
a chance to many of the refugee ladies to come and to learn to swim, because many of them don't know how to swim. So they've been giving them free swimming lessons, which I think was amazing.
That is so cool.
And we
Wow.
haven't been able to go yet to this location because I teach Zumba around that time. But in the past, we used to rent a local pool in our neighborhood, and it was private for the women only. And I've taught many people how to swim over the years, so including
Wow.
my kids.
So cool. You do a little bit of everything. That's amazing.
Yeah, I love that they're making those accommodations as well.
Mhm.
And I think I have been naive throughout my life and just had no awareness of anything like that. And I just wouldn't have known, so I'm glad that people are aware. There are people that know.
Yeah.
And what about haircuts? Tell us about that. How does that work?
So a long, long time ago, it used to be my husband who gave me my haircuts. We don't do that anymore.
I wouldn't
Wow.
trust my husband to do
I
that.
don't think so.
But there is a few women-only or Muslim-owned salons that have it for women only. Dead Sea Spa is one of them in downtown Salt Lake. But another option now, I found it's very easy to walk into a salon owned by a woman and ask her if she does private, if she will lock the door or do it after hours or work something out with them. And most of them are very kind to accommodate.
Awesome. That's so good
great.
to hear. Mm-hmm.
But the good news, if your husband does give you a haircut, you have a scarf to cover up.
Yeah.
I would need it if my
That's
husband cut
true.
my hair.
That's true. Good
Yeah.
point. You probably,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize this before now, but I'm going to get my hair bleached. I have a lot of gray right now, and which is fine. I'd like to embrace it if there was enough, but there's not enough. But you probably save a lot of money on things like that. So
I also don't like my gray hair, so I do color from time to time.
Nice.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are-
Self-confidence is a
Yeah.
big thing. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, and it's
And I
for
think there's-
you, not for others. I get my
Right.
hair done for me and for others, but not always. So
For sure.
Sorry,
and I think
Ash.
there's probably a lot of salons that would accommodate to that. I go get my hair done at a woman's house and it's just me and her every time. So I'm sure there are many ways that you can do it. We're just curious because we had no idea that was even, this religion is, I know the least about. So I'm the most fascinated by everything and excited to learn more. So
I talked with you at the Meet the Muslims briefly at one point, and you said, "Oh, actually, my opinion is a little bit different than this other gentleman's opinion." Tell us kind of, and we're the same. Sometimes we don't agree with our bishop, or we don't agree with other leaders or other members in general. So just kind of explain that to us and how that works in your religion.
So one of the beauties of Islam is that there's no hierarchy. You can go to scholars to get their opinion, to learn more, but you are encouraged to use your own brain and to come up with your own decisions. And there's nobody who's going to necessarily come and yell at you and tell you, no, you can't do that. It's between you and God. So your decisions are your decisions, and you live with the consequences on the day of judgment, so to speak.
Love that.
So I don't recall what the question was that I had a difference of opinion with, but let me tell you, I have a difference of opinion with a lot of people all the time. So it's all
as do
good.
we.
You're a strong woman. We love that
Yeah.
with your own opinion.
Yeah.
So
I was just going to say, as someone who believes in like my own spiritual authority, it's really refreshing to hear that in Islam that there's no hierarchy. As you were saying, that it makes it feel a little more personal, which I think we all have our own personal spiritualities. So I like that sentiment.
Can I ask a question also that I didn't put in your questions? And so if you don't want to answer it or you don't know the answer, we can just edit this out completely. But when I was at the Meet the Muslims event, Imam Shuaib mentioned a miracle that Jesus performed. This is kind of off topic, but a miracle that Jesus performed involving a bird or a dove, a miracle that's not in our New Testament, that is something that you all believe in. Can you explain that miracle to us? I meant to ask him that question and we forgot.
So when it comes to Jesus, Muslims believe in Jesus as a prophet of God, and they believe in the miracles that he performed, whether it is healing the sick, bringing the dead to life, healing the leper. But we give him two more miracles. One is that he spoke as an infant. So as a baby, he kind of cleared the air and absolved his mom of any wrongdoing, and that he is a prophet of God. And he later in life gave a clay bird life. So, and every time he performs a miracle, he says, and I do this in the name of God. So he kind of mentioned that it is God gave him the powers to do these things.
Love that. I'm so glad we waited and asked you, because I didn't know the baby one. And I love birds. I have a couple birds myself, and anything to do with birds or nature or animals I love. So when he did mention that one, and I loved it. I think that's really beautiful. So yeah, it's really interesting.
Something that's sticking out in my mind now is the fact that a lot of other Christian churches don't think that the Mormon church or the LDS church is Christian because of the Trinity, because they think that God and Jesus are one. But in the LDS church, we actually believe that they're separate, and you guys believe that they're separate. So that's just a connection that I'm just making, that it seems like every religion that we talk to and have learned from, there's something that connects us and that we can find similarities on.
And we believe more so that he's a God. They believe he's a prophet, but we do believe that they're separate.
They're separate beings. Mm-hmm. So we talked a little bit about your Zumba. We wanted to get back to that because I've only been to Zumba once, but it was so much fun, and I've always wanted to go back. Maybe I need to come and take your class.
It's really fun.
We love dancing, and we're a very dancey. We're not good at it.
We're not good.
Enjoy it. But I was just curious how that works within with your cultural practices. And I remember you mentioning that you have to select certain types of music. Could you explain a little bit about that?
Not everybody will feel comfortable being a Zumba instructor, because Islamically, women should not be dancing in front of men. Luckily, most of my clienteles are usually women. Men don't feel comfortable being in a room with 40 women, and they're not really good dancers for the most part. Every once in a while, we get a man who really knows how to dance.
Throwing some shade to the men. I love it.
And, I try not to teach in spaces where there would be men in the classroom, so I don't teach at Vasa or other places where there might be more men. But I started out teaching at Curves, and at Curves it was women only. And then I slowly worked myself into different places that I felt comfortable teaching at. I taught at Salt Lake Community College for a while, and then it got awkward. We had quite a few young men in the class, and my husband didn't feel comfortable, and I said, no worries, me neither. So I dropped the class. And at first it was one class, then two classes. Now it peaked to 10 classes at one time. Now I'm down to 5 classes a week. So of Zumba, that is.
Wow, that's a lot still. 5 classes.
I need to cut back still.
No, do it. You can tell it's one of your passions. So
it's an addiction almost.
Wow. Yeah. My friend teaches Zumba, and or not Zumba. She teaches high fitness, and I can't make it even once a week most of the time. That's a lot. That's a lot of time, but that's amazing that you're able to do that.
And I try to not have too many suggestive moves or anything too much in my dances, and try to pick my music to be clean. Every now and then people would like a song in class and then buy it, and then they go, our version is nothing like your version. I say, yeah, I make sure to either buy the clean version, or I will edit the music to take some words out of the song.
Smart.
So, yeah. Well, it's your class, so you can, you know, it should be your comfort level.
Yeah, for sure.
And do you wear, I know you're supposed to wear to your wrists and your ankles. Does that get hot? Do you wear the same clothing during working out?
So I do wear conservative clothing while working out. And if it does get warm, eventually it'll cool off, because when you get warm, you sweat. And when you sweat, you get wet. And when you get wet, you cool off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
True. Very
and
true.
I just had a question just came to my mind. And again, you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but how do you feel as a woman? How do you feel when other women don't dress the same way? Do you feel any sort of way with women around your husband? Like we are, I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt. Like, does that make you uncomfortable when your husband's around? Like, how does that work?
Well, I'm not going to send him to the beach for sure. But no, I mean, if you're dressed in what's considered normal, it's fine. And even if it's not normal, it's your choice. But my husband's job is to lower his gaze if he's around women who are skimpily dressed. He's not supposed to stare at them and look at them and or any of that.
I like that.
That's part of his modesty rules.
Right. That falls on him, not on the woman, which I appreciate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Could you share your personal experiences with Ramadan and just kind of explain it to us? I'm intrigued to know. Also, I've heard that you often make food during your fast for other people. Mm-hmm. That just seems so impossible to me. So tell us how that works for you.
So one of my favorite stories to share, and I hope she doesn't mind me sharing it in public here, is Peggy Fletcher Stack from the Salt Lake Tribune. She always writes pieces in Ramadan. And many, many years ago, she said to me, I always write pieces, but I want to do more. I want to experience Ramadan. I said, great. So I said, well, as you know, we fast from dawn till sunset, no food, no water from dawn till sunset. But at that time, Ramadan happened to be in mid-June. And she goes, I don't know if I'm ready to fast till 9 p.m. But tell you what, I'm going to fast in February and experience it in February. I said, okay, no worries. So she did. She fasted from dawn till sunset for a whole month. And then we celebrated together, and she had a great experience. The following year, she goes, okay, I want to up my game. What else do you do in Ramadan? I said, we do extra prayers. We always pray 5 times a day, but we also pray at night, and we do extra prayers. She goes, okay, I'm going to pray 5 times a day. Not the way you guys pray, but I'm going to just take a break from my life and pray at your set times. I said, wonderful. So at the end of the month, we did a little celebration at her work, and her boss tells me, it's really funny watching her watch the clock to make sure to pray right on time. And I said, it doesn't work that way. She has a window of time. She can pray the prayer from like 12 till 3 p.m., not right at 12. So she didn't realize that.
Just got to get it in there.
I know. She wanted to pray at 12. So I thought that was funny.
That's so cute.
But she really, again, enjoyed that aspect of it. And then the following year, she goes, okay, I want to up my game again. I said, okay, well, we try to read the whole Quran in Ramadan, because what makes Ramadan holy is that the Quran was revealed in Ramadan. So she goes, okay. So that year, she read all of the Quran while she was fasting, which I give her kudos for doing, because it's my own scriptures, and I barely finished reading it once in Ramadan. And she did that. And I said, wow. Again, we celebrated. Again, she was always doing it in February. The following year, she goes, okay, I want to do more. I said, okay. In Ramadan, we try to do more acts of charity. We donate money. We try to do lots of acts of charity. She goes, you do one every day? I say, I try. So she tried. She said, didn't quite make it every day to do an act of charity, but I did more than I normally do, and it was wonderful. I said, well, you have a full-time job. It's understandable if you get busy. Then the final year, she came to me and said, okay, I came across this quote, and I don't understand about Ramadan. I said, what is it? And she said, it says that Prophet Muhammad said that some people only get thirst and hunger out of Ramadan and nothing else. What does he mean? I said, well, if you end up being angry and in a bad mood and taking it out on others, then you're losing the benefits and the blessings of your fast. She goes, oh, so you're not. I said, no, you can't get angry with anybody just because it's not an excuse that you're fasting. Be angry at people. She goes, oh, okay. So she focused on that Ramadan. And when we celebrated, her sweet husband looked at me and said, you couldn't have told her that the first year?
The damage was done.
Yeah, but I think she went above and beyond anyone who's not Muslim to do all that work, because it's hard to fast. Sunset, no food, no water. I mean, that's hard. So it's amazing.
Yeah, and you're making food for others as a sacrifice.
For others.
Yeah.
So if you feed a fasting person, then you get the reward of their fast without diminishing their reward. So they get the reward and you get a bonus. So then people want to feed as many fasting people as they can while they're fasting. So for us, in the beginning, when we were first in Utah, there were very few Muslim families, and you would really invite all of them for dinner when at your home. And so we'd have about 30, 40 people, or we would divide the number of Muslim families on a specific day of the week. So you cook once a week, and then they invite you in return. And then, so you only end up cooking once a week and being invited the other days. Now the Muslim community has grown so big. So the way it's culturally has progressed is that the mosques provide the food for everybody. And then everybody who wants can donate money for the food, and they cater it, or they do potlucks, but usually cater it. So it's open for anybody who wants to come who is fasting or not fasting. It's also open to the community. So if you guys want to come, there's good food.
We're always there for food.
Yeah.
Emmy got food last time at the mosque.
It was delicious.
The first time. Yeah.
I paid for
it. Or what did you get?
I don't even know. I didn't ask anyone about it.
Thing?
Yeah.
Fried triangle thing. That's a samosa. Did you get the fried looking donut hole soaked in syrup?
No.
No.
That sounds good though.
I want that.
I got the triangle thing and rice.
Oh, they had rice? I didn't know that. I didn't make it downstairs.
It was so good.
Oh, good.
It was really good.
I would have got some, but I was on my way to meet someone for lunch. So I was like, oh, dang it, next time.
Yeah.
There's an interfaith function tonight here in Holiday at 7 p.m. I'm bringing date cookies if you want.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's
we'll
awesome.
Look at our calendars. And you are kosher also, right? Like the Jewish community. I didn't realize that.
So ours is called halal.
Okay.
So halal meat means that the animals have been treated well. And then they were slaughtered according to Islamic law, which kind of the requirements are the same as the FDA. So the animal is properly slaughtered. All the blood is drained from the animal. So you can't eat a dead animal and slaughter it. So if you hit a deer and the deer died, you can't use that deer for your dinner. It has to die from being slaughtered and all the blood flowing from it. So for Muslims and Jews, you bless the meat before you slaughter it. So you would, in Islam, you would say, in the name of God. And that will make it halal. So many stores locally sell halal meat, including Costco downtown, and some of the lamb meat at Sam's Club and other places are also halal. They come from New Zealand. And then you have the regular Muslim stores, whether it's Black Cherry, Halal Market, Shahrazad Market, Specialty Market. My goodness, they all have similar names. But they sell all halal meat as well.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool that you guys respect nature and animals in that way.
And when you're making food, sorry, I have a lot of follow-up questions. When you're making food for each other, that it's still eaten after dawn, right? Because you're fasting during the day, or can you eat it if someone prepares it for you during the fast? I'm a little confused.
You can only eat after sunset. So when it's dark at night, you can eat.
Okay.
So
you said you get up early in the morning to eat and then fast throughout the day, correct?
Yeah, so you get up before dawn.
Mm.
If this year, with it being 5 p.m. sunset, I don't think I'll get up for an early meal. I might just have a cup of water. That's enough.
When is it
I
this
don't
year?
teach them, but in Ramadan, I take a break.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that would be really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when is it this year?
I believe March 12th. But who knows better than me? Google.
Yeah.
Google it.
I can check that too.
Yeah.
You can always ask Google and say, when is Ramadan? When is Eid? When is different functions? Because we follow a lunar calendar. And because we follow a lunar calendar, all the dates shift by 10 days every year. So it's hard to keep track of, honestly.
Yeah.
But I do know it's starting sometime in early March this year.
Okay.
Wow.
And it's amazing to me you're fasting while doing all of those things, serving others, making food for others, praying more than normal, which you already pray 5 times a day. That's really amazing and commendable and inspiring.
It's a re-energizing time. It's a very spiritual month. You really feel your spirit getting re-energized.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might lose weight too, but sometimes you end up gaining weight depending on your eating habits.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
What you're eating after. Mm-hmm. So on the subject of Ramadan and just other holy things, we wanted to ask you about your holy day and how that's observed. So
Friday is the Muslim holy day. It is not a day of rest, so we can work if we choose to. Mm-hmm. Yes, in Muslim countries, they have the day off, but we don't have that luxury in the U.S., and we don't have to have the day off. We have now 12 places where Friday prayers are offered in Salt Lake, including the UFU, including the mosques. And really, each place you'll get a different experience, but my favorite is Utah Islamic Center. They have 3 different prayer times, one at 12:30, 1:15, and 2 o'clock. So it's only a half-hour service. You hear a sermon that's about 20 minutes long, and then you see the prayer where they all stand up and they stand and bow and prostrate, and it's done in Arabic, that part. So it's something different, and the sermons are usually pretty good. And then you have lunch you can buy for $7, and sometimes it's shawarma, sometimes it's biryani, sometimes. So it changes every week, and you get to taste yummy different foods.
Yes, that's what we attended, and it was beautiful. We especially loved the
Friday prayer too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you're really doing your research.
We're just trying to really experience each religion, so just get a little taste. And again, it does feel like, even visiting them, it feels like just a dip in the water of what we need to learn and what we want to learn. So it was an experience though. And I loved the prayer side of it. That's how I pray every night in bed. Sometimes I fall asleep like that. My husband has to be like, you've been praying for 20 minutes. Are you okay? And I'm like, oh, I was asleep. But in that position is how I pray. That's how my mom always used to pray at night. And so I think that's something that I saw her as an example of, and I brought that into my own life because of her. And so that part was really beautiful for both of us, Emmy and I.
Mm-hmm. We really have loved the ritualistic side of different religions, and we really didn't know what to expect going into this one, and we just kind of went in and we didn't know what was happening. And then it was really enlightening to go to the Meet the Muslims to kind of clarify some of the things that we observed while we were there during the service, because it was really neat. We really enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to That's Church. We are so grateful for your continued support. We hope you learned something new today. We definitely did. It would help us out so much if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts and a rating on Spotify. Go ahead and do that now. Thank you so much. Visit our podcast next week for part 2 with Maysa Kergaye to hear more about the treatment of women within her faith. converting to Islam, the do's and don'ts as a Muslim woman, Maysa's involvement in community service, teaching Zumba classes, and more about her personal thoughts and spirituality. Thanks again for listening to That's Church. Have a wonderful day.
Welcome to That's Church.
That's church.